Tonight, getting tough on crime.
We're getting violent criminals and repeat offenders off the streets, full stop.
Details and reaction as the Prime Minister unveils long-awaited bail reform measures. Also tonight.
It's a disaster for the businesses that have built up around where the bus stops are.
How much foot traffic is down for businesses on Graham Avenue after the city pulled buses off the street. Plus, the end of an era.
Like Field of Dreams, build it, they will come. They didn't come.
Heavy hearts as the Fort Garry Legion prepares to close its doors for good.
It will no longer be up to the Crown to prove why someone should stay behind bars. It will be up to the accused to prove to the court why they can be trusted to be released.
After months of ratcheting up pressure from across the country, the Prime Minister today announced details of a new bail reform bill. In addition to reverse onus for major crimes, it would amend the criminal code to allow consecutive sentencing for those convicted of multiple crimes, end conditional sentences for a series of sexual offenses, and impose tougher penalties for organized retail thefts. Reaction is pouring in tonight, including from right here in Manitoba. But will these proposed changes translate to improved safety? Standing by live with local reaction is CTV's Danton Unger. So Danton, what are local leaders here having to say about this?
Well, Marilee, both the Premier and Winnipeg's Mayor shared cautious optimism today. They say there's a need for legislative changes and they're hopeful the Prime Minister's plan will make a difference. Now, that hope is shared by a local business who is being faced with crime every day.
At Cooper Collectibles on Sargent, owner Michael Paye says businesses in the West End are fed up with a near revolving door of shoplifters.
The biggest problem is these people, we've had people arrested and the same day we saw them out again.
He hopes new bail reform measures announced by the Prime Minister Thursday may help.
The catch and release has not been working.
Harsher penalties on organized retail theft is just one aspect of Mark Carney's proposed bail reform legislation, which will target serious crimes and put the onus on an accused to prove why the court should release them on bail.
This is how the federal government can help municipalities and provinces get criminals off the streets.
My first repeat offender bulletin is about a real-world convicted carjacker and 7 disturbing assault charges.
It's welcome news for Winnipeg Mayor Scott Gillingham, who has been releasing these weekly bulletins, highlighting specific cases where people released on bail went on to commit more serious crimes.
We cannot just stand by and let violent repeat criminals continue to be out on our streets, wreaking havoc and being a threat to our community. We need legislative changes. I'm glad to hear today's announcement.
A sentiment echoed by Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew.
It's encouraging to hear some of the announcements today. I hope it's going to make a difference.
But University of Manitoba law professor Brandon Trask says he has some doubts.
I think there's more of sort of a political element to this necessarily than a legal element.
That's because he says there are already checks and balances in place when it comes to bail.
The status quo is not that absolutely everybody gets out, right? The reality is in Manitoba, roughly 75% of people in provincial custody are on remand.
At Paye's shop, he hopes these new measures will make a difference, but says bail reform is only part of the solution.
Aim at the root and focus on that.
Now, later this month, Mayor Gillingham will be heading to Ottawa to continue calling for more bail reform. He's set to testify at a House of Commons Standing Committee on Justice and Human Rights next Tuesday.
All right, thanks for this, Danton. A proposed drug detox center at 190 Disraeli could open up in a matter of weeks. It all hangs on whether or not a bill to extend the detention period for intoxicated people is passed at the legislature.
We're aiming for November 1st, but as soon as the legislation is passed, that's when we are looking to start that process.
A bill before the Manitoba Legislative Assembly looks to extend the detention period for people intoxicated on drugs such as meth from 24 hours to 72 hours. If passed, 20 detox beds will be quickly opened at Nadina Waymack, also known as Our Relative's Place. Housing, Addictions and Homelessness Minister Bernadette Smith says the center will be staffed by medical professionals. But PC leader Abi Khan is questioning how it will actually work.
More information about these facilities, where these facilities will be located, how much these facilities are going to cost, what is going to be the makeup of these facilities, how many nurses is it going to require to run these facilities, how many doctors.
A community committee meeting to answer questions from the public is scheduled for tonight. No buses, no business. Shop owners on Graham Avenue are not on board with changes to the new transit network. Buses were removed from Graham Avenue in late June, and they say customers disappeared with them. Live on Graham tonight to explain is CTV's Jeff Keel. So, Jeff, just how many potential customers are we talking about?
Well, the Downtown Biz says when the buses were here, there were tens of thousands of people here daily. So there'd be a lot of possible customers when we're talking about those kinds of numbers for the businesses here on Graham Avenue. Now take a look. This is where one of those big bus stops used to be here on Graham Avenue. And as you can see behind me, the numbers of people has clearly dwindled. Bus riders used to flock to the Blazing Chicken Shack on Graham Avenue from the stop that used to be right outside. Now they're crossing a different road.
It's definitely sold down. Definitely sold down.
In late June, buses stopped running on Graham Avenue when the city rolled out the new transit network. Blazing Chicken Shack owner Eric Saniak says they relied on walk-up customers waiting for or getting off a bus. He estimates they're down $2,000 in sales a week since the switch.
It's tough. Oh, yeah, it's tough. It's already, we're barely getting by as it is. Never mind getting rid of the buses.
He's not alone. Bison bookstore owner Amy Peak says she's taking a 25% hit on over-the-counter sales.
People would stop and come in and get the next bus so that they would have 15 minutes to browse the store.
CTV News also spoke to other shops on Graham Avenue who say business has been impacted. One told us he's down 75%.
The riders don't have access to those businesses, and the businesses don't have access to the riders. It's a problem on both ends.
Mayor Scott Gillingham says he's met with the affected businesses.
I do understand. I do appreciate those business owners want and need that regular traffic.
Gillingham says more customers are coming, pointing to the Southern Chiefs redevelopment of the former Bay Building and True North's Portage Place project.
That'll be a major overhaul, which will represent a lot more people living in the area, a lot more people visiting that site.
But that's at least a couple of years away. In the meantime, Eric Saniak would like to see concerts and events on Graham.
Unless there's a Jets game or there's something going on at their RBC Convention Center, there isn't a whole lot of reason to come down here lately, so especially now that it's getting cold out.
Amy Peak would like to see things the way they were.
Put the buses back. I mean, nobody is happy with this bus system.
Mayor Gillingham says he will continue to work with the businesses to see if there's a way to assist them before those major developments materialize.
Jeff, what about the Downtown Biz? What does it have to say about this?
Yeah, the Biz is saying they're also looking for solutions to this, but that there is no easy fix when we're talking about bringing back tens of thousands of people here daily, other than maybe bringing the buses back. But they say they've been told by the city that's not an option.
All right. Thanks for this, Jeff. All right, let's bring in Colleen Brady now and get a first look at your Skywatch evening forecast. Kind of a wet, dreary day, and tonight's not looking much different by the looks of the map behind you.
And yeah, not tomorrow either. A Colorado low, that's right, is headed our way. It's not bringing snow, at least not to southern Manitoba, but it is going to bring more rain. So we've had round one, or in the process of having round one. The rain that's been falling today has been out in front of this developing Colorado low, which will be sitting right over southern Manitoba by tomorrow. So it's going to bring more precipitation. I'll show you how much coming up, but let's take a look right now through the Bathfitter Live Eye. Bathfitter, your bath and shower experts for more than 40 years in Winnipeg right now. It is raining lightly. It's 10 degrees. Winds out of the east-northeast at 15 kilometers an hour. The pressure's dropping, and the humidity right now, Marilee, up one from last hour. It's 98%.
Thanks, Colleen. A teenager is recovering from serious injuries after being hit by a vehicle in Selkirk last night. It happened on Manitoba Avenue, just west of Easton Drive. RCMP say two people were walking eastbound in the middle of the road when a vehicle came from behind and hit one of them. A 17-year-old boy was brought to hospital by Stars Air ambulance in critical condition. The other person on the road and the 27-year-old man behind the wheel of the vehicle were uninjured. The investigation continues. Two people are charged with assaulting a Winnipeg transit driver. It happened Monday night on a bus traveling through West Kildonan. Police say a man got into a verbal argument with the driver while riding the bus in the 2000 block of Main Street. The dispute escalated, and police say the man allegedly assaulted the driver and a woman spat on him. Police add the man got off the bus, pulled out a knife, and slashed the bus as it drove away. Police responded to the call and arrested 2 people in a Main Street parking lot. A 29-year-old man and a 25-year-old woman were taken into custody. They're facing a combination of charges, including assault, possessing meth, theft, and failing to comply with a release order. It's the end of an era for a staple in Fort Garry. The Royal Canadian Legion on Pembina Highway is turning off the taps and closing its doors. CTV's Joseph Bernacki has the story.
For nearly 80 years, this Legion has served the Fort Garry neighborhood, but branch number 90 has reached the end of the line.
We close our doors November the 30th. We turn off the lights for the last time.
40-year member Gary Reed says it's sad to see the branch close. The original Legion opened at 1125 Pembina Highway in 1947, but was shut down in 2022 due to structural damage. So they leased a new home that same year, a bit further north on Pembina.
We thought if we built a bright, shiny, welcoming branch, like Field of Dreams, build it, they will come.
Housed in a former Pizza Hut, the Legion made significant upgrades, but despite the transformation of the space, expectations fell short.
They didn't come in numbers that we felt. Sadly, we hadn't made any money since we moved here.
But it wasn't always this way.
At one time, there was over 1,500 members, paid-up members of the Legion. That has dwindled down right now to the point that we have less than 300 members.
78-year-old Brian Cutts has been a member for more than 5 decades.
I had my first beer when I turned of age with my dad at the Legion. And like I say, I joined around when I was 23.
Reed says this Legion will merge with another after members voted unanimously to join Branch 252 in South Osborne. Still, Reed wishes this branch could have stayed open, as so many Legions are closing across the country.
I thought this would be the flagship of Legions of the future, and it turned out that wasn't the case. But I guess it's just a sign of the times.
Joseph Bernacki, CTV News, Winnipeg.
The opposition Tories are crying foul tonight over the salary of Manitoba's trade representative in Washington, D.C. The Premier's office has just revealed former TV News reporter Richard Madden is being paid $387,000 a year.
Yes. Richard Madden has 0 experience in trade or contract negotiations. Yep. Ontario, Alberta, Saskatchewan, Quebec are all paying far less for their trade offices. And Richard Madden, with a $400,000 salary, has brought in how many dollars to Manitoba? Zero.
The Premier's office says Madden's salary is comparable to money spent by other provinces on trade offices or third-party lobby firms. But as you heard, progressive Conservatives disagree and say Madden's wage is out of line for someone with no trade background. Madden worked for media outlets, including CTV News, before being named to the trade post. At the time he was hired, Madden said he did not have a trade background, but came armed with connections in Washington and skills in building and maintaining relationships.
But one consistent area that was identified was we need a permanent presence. And this is the cost of doing business in Trump's America. And this is a cost that maybe would have been a little lower if the PCs hadn't closed the office, but this is definitely an investment that we have to make to protect our economy from Donald Trump.
The Premier's office says Madden has met with Manitoba's business and agriculture groups, set up an office inside the Canadian Embassy, and is organizing an upcoming Advocacy Day where U.S. lawmakers will learn about Manitoba's contributions to supply chains and Arctic defense. A cautionary tale out of southern Manitoba today. Police in Winkler say a couple narrowly avoided losing a large amount of money after people arrived at their door claiming to represent a smoke alarm installation company. The couple agreed to have alarms installed for what police say was a large fee. Police say the couple gave a deposit check as well as a void check, but the next day they learned a loan was started in their names. The couple canceled the checks, changed their bank accounts, and contacted the appropriate credit agencies, and luckily police say they didn't lose any money. Coming up, tensions ratchet up as Trump threatens U.S. ground strikes on Venezuela.
We are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control.
Fears the situation could spiral out of control as the South American country's leader accuses the U.S. president of organizing a coup. That story just ahead.
Your morning just got a little brighter. Start your day with CTV Your Morning, and you could win $20,000. For your chance to win, watch CTV Your Morning Winnipeg, weekday mornings 6 to 9.
The Canadian Real Estate Association is upgrading its forecast for home sales. The association says September home sales rose 5.2% year over year, the most active for the month since 2021. It also says the number of residential properties to be sold in 2025 will drop by 1.1% from last year, which is better than expected. The association had expected the drop would be closer to 3%. Turning to the markets now, crude oil is down 85 cents. The Canadian dollar inched a bit lower. Gold futures shot up $103. The TSX fell 178 points. The Dow Jones lost 301 points, while the Nasdaq is down 107 points. The Manitoba government is planning to ensure judges can weigh in anytime the province invokes the notwithstanding clause to override rights under the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. A bill before the legislature would require future legislation invoking the clause to be referred immediately to the province's Court of Appeal. Judges would not have the authority to strike down the legislation, but could comment on it and say whether it would be unconstitutional if not for the notwithstanding clause. Manitoba has never invoked the clause, and Premier Wab Kinew says his government never will. But he says the bill would ensure if future governments do, voters will know what judges think.
The notwithstanding clause is routinely being used by politicians who are targeting vulnerable minorities, targeting the LGBTQ2S+ communities, targeting religious people.
Manitoba has intervened in a Supreme Court of Canada case over Quebec's use of the clause to prohibit some public sector workers from wearing religious symbols while on the job. Canada Post says it will prioritize reliable and affordable mail delivery across the country as it moves ahead with major operational changes to cope with a worsening financial picture. On September 25th, Federal Procurement Minister Joelle Lightbound gave the Crown Corporation 45 days to come up with a plan to get its business back on track. He also approved changes to the Postal Service's mandate, including phasing out door-to-door delivery for homes still receiving it. Canada Post today said it will ensure vital postal services for rural, remote, and Indigenous communities are protected. It also pledged to be fair and respectful to employees as changes are rolled out. 55,000 unionized postal workers walked off the job in late September to protest the changes. Mail is moving again as they are now on rotating strikes. More than 2 months after the Air Canada strike, customers are still waiting for refunds.
They just try to go around it to give the clients a hard time, and hopefully many will tumble from that big group of people.
Rena Antonucci from Montreal paid $16,000 out of pocket while she was delayed in Dublin. She says Air Canada agreed to pay her back about $12,000 of that, but the money still hasn't arrived. She was also not told why she's not getting all of her money back. Air Canada says more than 500,000 customers were affected by the flight attendant strike. The airline says it expects to have most claims resolved by the end of the month. Days after car company Stellantis announced it's moving production from its plant in Ontario to the U.S., we're getting more insight into the discussions between the federal government and the car company. The Prime Minister says he received assurances the Canadian plant will not be abandoned. It comes as Mark Carney also responded to China's offer to remove tariffs on Canadian canola if the federal government drops tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. CTV's Michael Couture has more from Ottawa.
They're looking at different model being produced in Brampton.
That assurance came in a phone call the Prime Minister had 2 days before the company announced it was moving $13 billion in investment to the U.S. Mark Carney also reminded the global CEO that Stellantis committed to maintaining its full Canadian footprint in Brampton in exchange for federal and provincial money.
We need to be strong in terms of making sure that companies that have done well by virtue of the various subsidies or initiatives that have been made meet their obligations.
It comes as Ontario's premier has implored the federal government to hit back on American trade policies that Doug Ford says paved the way for Stellantis to move production.
There's times to hit back and there's times to talk, and right now is the time to talk.
Prime Minister.
That restraint could be tied to a bigger calculation on Canada-U.S. relations.
This is China versus the world.
The American Treasury Secretary is calling on Western allies like Canada to back the U.S. in the trade war with China.
We're going to have a fulsome group response to this because bureaucrats in China cannot manage the supply chain or the manufacturing process for the rest of the world.
That comes after China's ambassador to Canada told CTV's Question Period that if Canada removes its 100% tariffs on Chinese EVs, China would remove tariffs on Canadian products like canola.
It's not that simple. Nor is the relationship in the auto sector that simple as just open a door here with China with no impact on the relationship with the United States and the impact on activity here in Canada.
In the middle of all this, plans are underway for Carney to meet with President Xi Jinping at the end of the month on the sidelines of the APEC summit in South Korea. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
Donald Trump is now focused on trying to end Russia's war in Ukraine. Trump says he spoke to Russian President Vladimir Putin by phone and will meet Putin in Hungary for more talks. Meanwhile, Trump is due to meet with the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky at the White House tomorrow. Ukraine is trying to secure U.S. Tomahawk long-range missiles, which could target Moscow and other major Russian cities from Ukraine. Donald Trump is considering ground strikes in Venezuela. For the past several weeks, the U.S. has been targeting and destroying suspected drug smuggling boats in the Caribbean. And now there are concerns it could lead to an all-out war. Christiane Cordero reports.
Today, in the Trump administration's pledge to combat drug trafficking, the tension brewing in the Caribbean Sea is escalating on land.
We are certainly looking at land now because we've got the sea very well under control.
Along with threatening ground strikes, President Trump confirms he's authorized covert CIA action in Venezuela. In a statement, Venezuela's government slams Trump's latest move as extravagant, accusing the president of trying to legitimize a regime change operation to access Venezuela's oil resources. The administration has so far rationalized the strikes by casting drug traffickers as terrorists and unlawful combatants, which allows the White House to operate without approval from Congress.
There's lots of people who have been designated terrorists. That does not automatically give the authority to take lethal action.
There is some expectation, I think, if this were to be a sustained thing, that they would, yes. There are war powers, requirements that at some point they have to comply with.
Since early last month, the administration has ordered at least 5 strikes on boats it suspects were smuggling drugs headed toward the U.S., killing 27 people.
Every boat is saving 25,000 lives, and you can see it. The boats get hit, and you see that fentanyl all over the ocean. It's like floating in bags. It's all over the place, and it's a tremendous, we're saving tremendous amounts of lives.
The White House has provided few details and no evidence that these boats were smuggling drugs, despite some members of Congress demanding more information.
So there's a 1 in 4 chance, statistically speaking, that one of these boats may not have had any drugs on it. We will never know because they were blown to smithereens.
U.S. officials have long claimed Venezuela's cocaine shipments contribute to overdose deaths in the U.S. Venezuela's Maduro denies facilitating such drug trafficking. The Trump administration has placed a $50 million bounty on Maduro's arrest. Christiane Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
A U.S. judge is ordering immigration officials to follow new rules as they carry out an ongoing crackdown in the Chicago area. The Trump administration ordered ICE to carry out enforcement operations in the 3rd largest city in the U.S., which it says has resulted in more than 1,000 arrests. There's also been a wave of demonstrations in opposition. Last week, U.S. District Judge Sarah Ellis said immigration agents had to wear badges and were not allowed to use certain riot control techniques against protesters and journalists. Today, she said she's concerned her order is not being followed and agents must wear body cameras and keep them turned on. The Justice Department said it would not be possible to immediately distribute those devices.
3/5 of the senators duly chosen and sworn not having voted in the affirmative. The motion is not agreed to.
And a bill aimed at ending a federal government shutdown south of the border failed once again today in the U.S. Senate. Republicans have a majority there, but Democrats have enough votes to block bills. They've said they want any funding bill to reverse looming cuts to health care supports. Republicans say the government needs to be open for any discussion to be had on that front. The White House is threatening more layoffs. The Canadian passport has overtaken the U.S. passport in terms of visa-free access to the world. The Henley Passport Index ranks all of the world's passports according to the number of destinations their holders can access without a prior visa. Both countries were in 7th place under Henley's ranking system a year ago, but the Canadian passport now ranks 9th, a few spots ahead of the U.S. passport, which sits outside the top 10 in 12th place. Henley says the shift stems from countries imposing reciprocal policies in response to new U.S. visa restrictions or onerous entry requirements. Canadian passport holders can visit countries like Belarus, Papua New Guinea, and Uzbekistan without a visa, while U.S. passport holders cannot. Up next, still in contention.
I was a little worried, I gotta say, but they turned it around.
Canadian Blue Jay fans flock to Washington State with renewed hope as the team manages to keep its championship hopes alive.
And the long-range forecast for Winnipeg starts with the weekend. There's a slight chance showing up of showers on Saturday, but again, it's slight, otherwise a mix of sun and cloud. Up to 11 degrees. Bright and sunny Sunday with a high of 12. Rain returns on Monday with a high of 9 degrees. Tuesday, Wednesday, 7-8 degrees. Both days a mix of sun and cloud. On Wednesday, there's also a low chance of showers.
Have a news tip? When you see news happening, let CTV News Winnipeg know. Text your tips, pictures, and videos to 10400. That's 10400. Message and data rates may apply.
It was a fairly quiet night for Winnipeg high school football fans as just 6 teams hit the gridiron. Oak Park High School's JV-12 team hosted Vincent Massey Collegiate this afternoon. The home team won 49-14. Also in JV, Dakota Collegiate beat out St. Paul's High School 40-9. And Miles Mack Collegiate won its match at home against Steinbach Secondary 27-21. Blue Jays fans have new hope after a dominant performance by the team in Seattle. A convincing win, giving the Jays a chance to even up the American League Championship Series tonight. And as CTV's Andrew Johnson shows us, fans who made the trip to Seattle are officially ecstatic.
One for Canada!
At Seattle's famous Pike Place Fish Market, the atmosphere ahead of ALCS Game 4 is something else.
I think it's pretty electric right now.
Jays fans who made the trip to Washington State are on a high, with the team no longer seemingly swimming upstream.
That was absolutely incredible. And last night they just came out and they suddenly looked like the Jays again. So I was a little worried, I gotta say, but they turned it around.
Turned it around is maybe an understatement to describe the Jays' offensive explosion, fueled by 5 home runs and, after a shaky start, a shutdown performance from pitcher Shane Bieber.
It was fantastic. The energy was great, and there was about 50% Jays fans, it seems. So there was a pretty big Canadian component.
Thousands in the stands again tonight at T-Mobile Park will be Canadians who flew, drove, and ferried across the line to show their passion in person. And the seats don't come cheap.
We pulled them out of school, and they ended up being about $500 Canadian a pop, but it...
Totally worth it. Totally worth it for that experience. So we do it again in a heartbeat.
Come try the smoked Blue Jay, sir.
Now, a chance for Canada's team to bring the series back to Toronto.
With a win tonight or tomorrow, the Jays will guarantee this series goes at least 6 games and returns to Rogers Centre, where they could secure a World Series berth at home. Andrew Johnson, CTV News, Seattle.
CTV Skywatch weather brought to you by South Beach Casino and Resort. Visit southbeachcasino.ca.
Colleen Brady back now with an update on your Skywatch forecast and that rain she's tracking.
That's right. And when you talk about things like Colorado lows, I know for a lot of folks that strikes fear in the hearts of many that snow is on the way. But no, not with this one. It will bring a little bit more rain, though. In some cases, a lot more rain, depending on where you are tonight. The rain first arrived overnight, first in the southwest. It moved into Brandon overnight, and it did ease up there, but it will resume. There's even also the possibility of thunderstorms tonight in the southwest. Here in Winnipeg, we've had the rain falling off and on throughout the day. Northwestern Ontario, though, you can see it's falling much more heavily, and also, too, a little bit of, I'll move over here to show you better, that there is some non-severe thunderstorms moving through that region as well, and we could well see thunderstorms develop here in the southeast tonight, too. But all this is out in front of a Colorado low that will be racing northward over the next few hours and should lie right over southern Manitoba by tomorrow morning. But until then, the rain out in front of it will continue to fall, and it will actually organize and become a little stronger than it has been, at least here in the Winnipeg area as of late this afternoon into early this evening. It's been falling pretty lightly, but that will pick up. We might get a break here in Winnipeg before morning, but it will be short-lived. Rain will resume as that low moves into the region, and we'll also see the rain push further into parts of central and northern Manitoba as well, and you can see along the northern flank, possible a little bit of freezing rain for the commute. Now, back down in the Winnipeg area in the Red River Valley, again, tough to say. We will see that rain certainly resume tomorrow morning, but it may not be until mid-morning onward. But once it does, it will continue to come down for the next few hours. Now, I know a lot of folks are still heading out to that Bomber game tomorrow. It looks like hopefully by kickoff that rain will have just moved off. Keeping our fingers crossed for that, of course. Now we get overnight into Saturday. The rain's still coming down primarily up in the northeast and further east into northwestern Ontario, but more wrapping around into Manitoba on Saturday, but not really reaching the Winnipeg area so much, although there's a slight chance of it at this point, and drier even still on Sunday. But for tonight, it won't be a dry one. Showers. There is the risk of thunderstorms here, down to 10 degrees. Winds at their strongest out of the east at 20 kilometers an hour. Showers resuming tomorrow. It's just when 8 a.m. for commute time. It could still be dry, but we could see the first of those showers, but they will come through in the morning. You'll see the temperature there too, holding steady at 11 degrees. The winds will really strengthen first from the south in the morning and then from the west once we get to the midday here in the city. Clear tonight in Gillam and in Thompson, although Thompson dropping down to -3 with fog developing overnight. The rain gets to Island Lake in the morning before it moves into Gillam and Thompson tomorrow afternoon. Churchill cloudy and 9 degrees. Clear tonight over Lynn Lake down to -2. Varying amounts of cloud for the rest of the region. Now, Norway House, you'll see the rain move in early tomorrow morning, getting up to 6 degrees in the afternoon. Rain and potentially thunderstorms ahead tonight across much of the southwest. Brandon down to 7, 6 degrees overnight for Dauphin. Rain should wrap up in the morning, but then the winds will pick up. Brandon gets up to 11 degrees in the afternoon. Winnipeg in the southeast, again, the temperature is really going to hold steady down to 10 tonight here, 9, 10 degrees outside the city, and then the temperature not budging much tomorrow with that rain coming through in those strong west winds. And in northwestern Ontario, showers and thunderstorms ahead tonight for you. Lows between 11 and 14. They will end pretty early in the morning for most areas. Dryden, it'll take a little longer on the way to a high of 16 degrees there, 15 in Kenora. Our first weather photo takes us along this beautiful fall path along the Ebb and Flow First Nation. That photo is from Kayleen, a lovely shot there. And Gator here is quite the poser amidst those beautiful colors. This is out at Winnipeg Beach. That photo is from Pat. Email us yours to winnipegweather@ctv.ca.
The CTV Skywatch Pick of the Day is brought to you by MJ the Musical at Centennial Concert Hall, November 5th to 9th.
A healthy donation for Health Sciences Center Foundation today.
I am simply beyond grateful to thank Canada Life for its $1 million donation to Operation Excellence.
Winnipeg-based Canada Life announced a $1 million gift to HSC's Operation Excellence program. The program already acquired Manitoba's first surgical robot, along with state-of-the-art spine surgery equipment and a new ultrasound system. Canada Life says, as a life insurance provider, HSC Foundation aligns with its mission to build healthy communities.
We believe in the values of health accessibility, health affordability, health efficacy, quality of health, and it's so aligned with the mission of HSC here.
The foundation's board chair says today's donation will help shorten wait times and improve patient outcomes for all Manitobans. There's a recall for a brand of tankless water heaters due to carbon monoxide poisoning. We'll show you what you need to know. Plus,
I never ever thought that I would be in a situation like this.
Months after wildfires ravaged Western Canada, some people are still waiting for help as winter approaches.
The biggest meth seizure ever at New Zealand's border.
W5 exposes a global pipeline.
So that is meth from Canada.
And a crisis.
The product's flooding in.
Made in Canada. W5 investigates. Saturday at 7 on CTV.
It's been almost 5 months since wildfires devastated communities over the border in Saskatchewan, including the village of Denair Beach, which is just southwest of Flin Flon. And while some residents have received the help they need, others are still waiting. And as Carla Shirkinek tells us, there are questions about when help is coming as winter approaches.
This is what's left of the place Alicia Lundgren called home in Denair Beach with her 3 kids. She now lives in a camper on her grandparents' lot. No running water. Her kids are not with her. As the colder weather moves in, she worries.
I've been waiting for information from the Red Cross on that on the temporary housing that they have brought in.
She says she applied with the Red Cross in the village of Denair Beach, which carried out a needs assessment survey this fall to get necessary help to those who need it.
So we felt pretty confident that we've captured all the people that were in need and had not acquired housing.
Thompson says 245 homes were lost, and so far 25 of these units have been brought in. According to the province, rent for these ranges from $680 to $1,700 a month and are based on market rates.
Most people have acquired housing on their own. So either rental house or an apartment or such.
The province, which makes the decisions for eligibility, told us the government has committed $30 million in wildlife recovery to support cleanup, debris management, and temporary housing. The recovery task team is working closely with Denair Beach leadership to identify and support all individuals and families that need housing ahead of winter. In addition, Red Cross case managers are working in the community to support and connect individuals to programs and services. But Lundgren, who works as a fire administrator for the Saskatoon Public Safety Agency, is eager to live in a place with her children as soon as possible, and she's not sure why she hasn't received help.
I never ever thought that I would be in a situation like this. Like, I don't even have a fixed address.
We reached out to the Red Cross, who tell us they distribute the financial assistance to those who are eligible in conjunction with the Sask Public Safety Agency. Lundgren says she's getting some financial help from the Federal Disaster Assistance Program for basic living expenses. Carla Shinkaruk, CTV News, Saskatoon.
Health Canada is issuing a recall for a brand of tankless water heaters over the risk of carbon monoxide poisoning. It applies to the VRS and VRP models of the Vesta tankless hot water heater and certain models of the VRS and VRP Plus. The agency says the exhaust duct can crack, allowing gases to escape into the home. At high enough levels, carbon monoxide can lead to serious injury or death. Health Canada says nearly 3,500 of the units were sold in Canada between 2017 and July of this year. You're told to immediately stop using it and contact the company, who will send a technician to repair it. More than 5 years after the pandemic, Canada's healthcare network is still struggling to recover. A survey from the Canadian Medical Association finds doctors are burnt out and facing depression. 46% of physicians are reporting high levels of burnout. Among the major complaints, large amounts of paperwork and increased expectations of patients and families with respect to their care. For the first time in more than a decade, the number of American states with rates of obesity of 35% or more has dropped. Experts say it's an encouraging sign. America's epidemic of excess weight might be improving. But critics worry cuts to federal staff and programs addressing chronic disease could endanger that progress. The overall rate of obesity in the U.S. is high, but holding steady, affecting about 40% of the population.
Medical Watch is brought to you by Manuka and Koster Denture Clinic.
The Spotlight is next. Colleen has news about an upcoming festival celebrating the life of hip singer Gord Downie. And
orange juice!
The Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre begins a spectacular new season with a roar by bringing a best-selling novel to the stage. Stay with us.
Spotlight, sponsored by the Casinos of Winnipeg, presenting Absolute Britney, a tribute to Britney Spears.
We start with some breaking entertainment news. We've just learned who will headline the Grey Cup halftime show here in Winnipeg.
Tell me would you wait for me? Baby, I'm a rolling stone. I got a lot of right in me.
The league says the honor will go to rapper and songwriter MGK. The multi-platinum artist will be kicking off his Lost Americana tour next month and will be making a stop here in Winnipeg for the 112th Grey Cup, November 16th. Also just announced, Canadian rockers Our Lady Peace will be kicking off the festivities at the kickoff show, and Manitoban Katie St. Germain will deliver the national anthem. And more breaking news from the entertainment world. Ace Frehley, the original lead guitarist and founding member of the glam rock band Kiss, has died. Frehley's agent says he died peacefully today, surrounded by family following a recent fall. Family members say in a statement they are completely devastated and heartbroken, but will cherish his laughter and celebrate the kindness he bestowed on others. Kiss band members took on the personas of comic book style characters. Frehley was known as Space Ace or Spaceman. Ace Frehley was 74 years old. A spectacular new theater performance is roaring to life at the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre.
Orange juice!
Beginning in a zoo in India, The Life of Pi is based on the best-selling novel. It's an epic tale of courage, faith, and survival after a shipwreck, and a teenager survives on a lifeboat with a Royal Bengal tiger. Not a tire, a tiger. The show's star tells us this theatrical version is different from the book or the film.
Are you happy about that now?
In terms of the time we spend in his memory, the structure of the story is very different. Of course, the themes and the plot are similar, and also the way that we have to bring the story to life on stage is very different with puppets and flashbacks and lighting and sound and costumes. It feels like a different experience, a new experience.
The Life of Pi runs now until November 8th at the Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre. For tickets, visit royalmtc.ca. A festival celebrating the life and music of tragically hip singer Gord Downie is expanding into Winnipeg. It's called GEDFest. Now, that's short for Gordon Edgar Downie. Now, the event began in Calgary and is spreading across Western Canada. Proceeds from GEDFest go to support local cancer charities. Downie lost his battle with the disease in 2017. GEDFest Winnipeg will feature the tribute band Trickle Down with opening act the Main Street Exiles. Last year, the festival raised almost $200,000. GEDFest debuts in Winnipeg on Saturday, October 25th at the Met Theatre on Donald Street. Visit gedfest.ca for more details. A Made in Manitoba Indigenous comedy series is back next week for another season, and tonight we're getting a sneak peek at the Acting Good premiere.
Stu, professional Lou Diamond Phillips impersonator, Diamond Inc. Yeah, I do all the Diamonds. Lou, Neil, Dustin, Mike from the Beastie Boys. Nobody does diamonds like Diamond Inc.
That's right. Brent Budd of Corner Gas fame guest stars as a Lou Diamond Phillips impersonator hired for a birthday party. Main character Paul becomes jealous and tries to elbow him out of the celebration after he becomes an unexpected hit. The series was filmed here in Winnipeg and Broken Head, Ojibwe Nation. The first 2 episodes of Season 4 debut Monday at 9 p.m. on CTV Comedy Channel and CTV.ca, or you can stream it the following day on Crave. Your primetime lineup starts at 7 with Hell's Kitchen. 911 Nashville follows at 8. Grey's Anatomy is on at 9. It's all right here tonight on CTV.
It's a beautiful coin and something, tradition and an artist that we can all proudly celebrate.
It's a colorful toonie celebrating a national artistic treasure. How you can get a brand new Canadian coin in your pocket this weekend.
Women's clothing provided by RW & Company. Salon services provided by S&T Spa Salon.
10 degrees right now in Winnipeg with the showers coming down. Winds out of the northeast at 13 kilometers an hour. Highest temperature of the day was not too much warmer than that, 11. Now the normal high for this time of year is 10 degrees. On this day 1 year ago, 15.1. And as you saw, we were nowhere near that record high. 10 degrees our overnight low, so really the temperature's not going to move much, and it won't move much tomorrow either. Showers much of the night. There is the risk of thunderstorms. Even overnight, we may get a couple of dry hours heading into the early morning hours. Showers will resume for much of the day, hopefully out of the way just in time for the Bomber game merrily, drier and a little warmer on the weekend.
Thanks, Colleen. Winnipeggers lined up today to be among the first to get their hands on a new commemorative coin. The new $2 coin was introduced last month and pays homage to Daphne Ojig, one of the most influential Indigenous artists of the 20th century. The colorized center of the coin depicts a woman holding a drum and is an adaptation of her piece, The Folk Singer.
This is the second commemorative circulation coin that we've released this year. This is the first $2 coin and the first time that we've done a female First Nations artist on a Canadian coin. We're very excited to have Daphne Ojig's art on this piece. Daphne Ojig was known for celebrating community and culture and family, and I think it's just it's a beautiful coin.
If you weren't able to make it down to the Mint today, don't worry. The coin exchange continues tomorrow and Saturday. Just show up between 9 and 5 and you can have one of your very own. It's beautiful.
It really is. Those colors are stunning.
Yeah. Well done. All right, that does it for us this evening. Have a safe one. We'll see you back here tomorrow.
Stay dry.
Yeah.